InnerQuest explores various pathways through which you can connect with the infinite wisdom of the universe and apply it to personal, professional, and spiritual growth. This program, featuring accomplished practitioners, educators, and authors, is provided by Infinity Foundation, an innovative center for holistic studies and research. We invite you to share this journey with us.
Hello, welcome to InnerQuest. My name is Jay Stone, your host for today, and our guest is Randi Light. Welcome, Randi.
Thank you very much.
You know, at first I thought that last name Light was a made-up name, but you said it's actually your name?
It's my name.
Absolutely. And you're originally from Highland Park.
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, let me tell the audience a little bit about you. As an author and healer, Randi leads transformational and spiritual awakening workshops. She has helped thousands of children and adults find and remove whatever is in their way of getting to another level of health, wealth, joy, and spirituality. Her hypnosis work and training manual, which we're going to get into later, provides a framework that can help you quickly reduce stress, chronic pain, overcome anxiety, depression, and insomnia. So first question for you, can you describe or define hypnosis for our audience?
Sure. Hypnosis is a normal, natural, common, everyday occurrence. So people go into hypnosis many times a day because it's a brainwave state. We think of it as a focused state of awareness or a focused state of concentration. And hypnosis is meditation with a goal. So when you're watching TV, when anybody's watching TV, our brainwaves slow down out of the beta state into alpha. And alpha is a light state of hypnosis or a light state of meditation. So 2/3 of the time people are watching TV, they're actually in hypnosis.
And don't we pass through a hypnotic state when we drift off to sleep at night or when we wake up in the morning?
Yeah, so beta is our active, we're both in beta right now. And then whenever we get focused on a book or a movie or a project, our brainwaves slow down from beta down into alpha. And that's a light state of hypnosis or meditation. Then when our brainwaves slow down, they go into theta, which is a deeper state of hypnosis or meditation. Continue to slow down those brainwaves, you go into delta, and delta is sleep.
Yes. Okay. That's good example. And so what are the benefits of being hypnotized?
There are countless benefits, Jay. It's amazing. Just going into the state of hypnosis, just going into the state can actually reduce stress, melt the cortisol, that stress hormone, out of your body, reset your systems, it improves your immune system. There's so much research now backing up the benefits of just going into the state, let alone what we do once you arrive in the alpha and theta states. So it can be used for healing diseases, for reducing tremors and Parkinson's, for helping people sleep so much better, overcome feelings of anxiety, depression. It's a change agent, basically, whether it's for healing or for making more money or for believing in yourself, healing relationships.
Okay, and how often do you recommend that people do hypnosis?
Well, I kind of liken it to massage. It's massage of the mind, if you will, hypnosis. And ideally, if time and money didn't matter, at least once a week being hypnotized by somebody else, but a daily self-hypnosis practice is also ideal.
Okay, and is that what your book teaches?
So my book is called The Essential 4 Protocol.
Here, I'll hold it up.
There's two there, but yeah, that's...
Okay, this is the one?
Yes, that's a workbook.
Okay, well, we'll get Kathy is going to change. But go ahead, talk about your book.
So for the last 10 years, I've hypnotized thousands of people, right? Children and adults. And I always offer a program or a package. And during that time, I do different things when I hypnotize people. And what I realized is if somebody's going to commit to 4 sessions, and that's it, what can I do in those 4 sessions that will make the most change for them, help them heal and resolve whatever they're coming in for? And so that book and training manual answered the question.
Okay.
And it's 4 fundamental sessions that I believe virtually every person on the planet would benefit from going through.
Okay, and what would be the first session?
So the first session, I call it the confidence building, ego strengthening, help you respond resourcefully to the world. And it has a little bit of emotional clearing, and it's in a light and easy and fun way. So people have a great hypnotic experience as a result of it. And I've had people, like for example, fibromyalgia went into remission. Many people start sleeping better after that confidence building, ego strengthening session.
Okay, and so that first session, how long are your sessions?
The first session can be 1.5 to 2 hours because I do mental training. I teach people how their thoughts affect them and how to use their minds to get what you want instead of what you don't want, basically.
And do you make recordings for your clients?
I do make recordings, and I give them a CD as part of the package, and that's the other book there. So when you purchase the Essential 4 program with me, you get 4 sessions, but you get 6 hours of hypnosis with coaching. You get a workbook to keep track of the learnings, and you get a CD or an MP3.
Okay, what's the second session like?
So the second session, we do the deeper work. So I want everybody to have a really good hypnotic experience and to notice how much more calm and confident they show up in the world. And then in the second session, I do more confidence building and ego strengthening, but I do what's called regression. Regression to the root cause of their anxiety, depression, insomnia, fibromyalgia, overeating, whatever is the issue that they're coming in for, guilt. And regression, I believe, is one of the hypnotists or hypnotherapists' most powerful tool. And we do age regression.
Our audience may not know what regression is.
So I take people back in time to a memory when that anxiety began or when that depression began. And we go back in time to the root cause, to the first time they ever felt that feeling.
And what happens if the anxiety or depression is genetic? Do you go back beyond the birth? Do you do a past life regression?
Well, sometimes people spontaneously go back to a past life when I do.
You kind of laughed a little there.
Yeah, well, because it's a great conversation, but not everybody is into past lives, and some people go back to this life. So if it's genetic, that poses a completely different question and opens up a whole different Pandora's box. Even if the anxiety isn't genetic, it could be from a past life, for example, or whatever is going on with them. But regression is so powerful because I don't want people to ever have to relive a traumatic memory. I've worked with many people who have been sexually abused, so I would never want somebody to go through that. But you can rescue that little girl in hypnosis. Hypnosis enhances the benefits of everything, every type of healing. And I've included hypnotic enhancers, I call them. So when they're back in time, in say 5 years old, so can I give you an example?
Sure, please.
So I had this one guy who had post-traumatic stress. He was overweight, carried a lot of guilt. He was diabetic as well. So when I did regression, I regressed him back to the root cause of his guilt, because that was
what was his purpose for the visit? Was it to lose weight? Was to heal emotionally? What was the presenting problem?
That's a great question. It could have been the PTSD. I'm pretty sure that's what got him in there. But then he had to lose weight, and he realized he carried a lot of guilt. So when I did regression, took him back in time. He went back to when he was 4 years old. When he was 4 years old, he had a cold, and he had a baby brother that he loved and adored. And so everybody told the little 4-year-old, don't go see your baby brother. You've got a cold. He could die. So he's 4 years old. He loves his baby brother. He went in there anyway, and the baby died. And he carried the belief for 60 years that he killed his baby brother until we did this work. Because you can bring an adult awareness into that 4-year-old's perspective of the world that lives inside you and reframe that belief that was created to the truth. And I also believe just going back in time to the memory when it began releases the stored emotions from the body as well.
Okay, so now you said in both the first and the second session you do ego strengthening. And our audience may not know what ego strengthening is. You want to explain that term for our audience?
Sure. I would call it confidence building is another way of saying it. People are so mean to themselves. Basically, people have 60,000 thoughts a day. That's what the research says. We have 60,000 thoughts a day. And if half of our thoughts are negative, that's 30,000 negative thoughts.
And men are having 59,900 thoughts about sex.
Well, yeah, and whether that's positive or negative for them, right? Depends on what, if they might get mad at themselves for that, or they might be having issues, since that seems to be an issue as well. So what is the original question we were talking about?
We were talking about ego strengthening.
So ego strengthening. So people need to feel good about themselves. When you come to my office, you actually, to work with me, you have to sign an agreement to promise to stop criticizing yourself and become your own best friend. And I believe that that right there is one of the keys to ego strengthening and confidence building. What I'm doing is I'm delivering suggestions in a hypnotic state to help you feel good about yourself and recognize your best qualities. Now, research says that a suggestion given in a hypnotic state, even one time, can have the same effect as long-term conditioning and practice. One time. So that's a powerful and bold statement. So I can deliver suggestions that strengthen your ego, that make you feel good about yourself, to remember your true essence and not all the things you don't like about yourself or the things that you do.
Okay. Are you familiar with ego psychology?
No, actually I'm not.
Well, you did a good job.
Well, I mean, ego, yes.
Well, it started with Freud, which
sure.
was the id, so, the focus was on the id, free association, and then the opposite psychology developed called ego psychology. So you had the id and the ego, and so now we think of more like in terms of cognitive psychology, or positive psychology, or the strengths perspective. And so one of the evaluators and function of ego psychology is ego strength, which psychologists are realizing is extremely important to one's mental and physical health.
Yes, and I remember learning all about that in college, and then Eckhart Tolle really gets into talking about
the power of now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to help them, but they don't have to know that.
Okay. Can we talk more? Because this is interesting. So we as we go through the steps, we're learning a lot about how you practice and about the field of hypnosis. So you want to go through the third essential step.
Okay. So let me just recap. So the first session builds confidence, helps them respond resourcefully to the world. And that's really important, so that people can, if something happens, because you can't control what happens in life, but you can control how you respond. So getting people to respond more resourcefully. And we just do a little bit of emotional clearing on that first session. But on the second session, we do what I call that deeper work, the regression. Then the third session, we do a type of regression. It's called timeline therapy. And
sure. Tad James.
Yeah. So neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. Timeline therapy is a...
No content therapy.
No content therapy. So you don't have to know content, it's true.
Right. You deal with the emotions or the feelings.
So timeline is fascinating, because everybody has a way of mapping and coding time subconsciously. And we can figure out how you map and code time, and actually we can rearrange it to be more resourceful for you.
Yeah, so timeline is another form of regression.
Well, there's two components to the timeline therapy technique that I do on the third session.
There's also age progression. Is that the other one?
Yeah, so I figure out how you map and code time, and it's fascinating to think about most of my ADD and ADHD clients, whether children or adults, how they map and code time is very disorganized, and you can actually organize it. It's a game changer. It's a stand-up process with your eyes closed and doing different things to get memory markers. But then I take them into hypnosis, and we go back in time following the timeline, so it's very disassociated. But we do it to the root cause of a dominant limiting belief, like I'm not good enough, I'll never be healthy, I'll never lose that weight, or something like that.
Okay. And then the critical, if somebody had signed that the contract to not criticize themselves and be their best friend, how could they do that work?
Yes, they'll just they need to reinforce the new neural pathways that we
Yeah.
make during the sessions.
Okay. And that's an interesting concept. You want to kind of explain how the once you change the neural pathways, you change the thoughts, the feelings, the actions and reactions.
So what's a habit, right? It's a neuroassociation. It's a learned behavior pattern, and we have lots of them. We think we're just a certain way, but it's actually a learned behavior pattern. So our subconscious mind has stored every single thing that's ever happened to us. So I have to give a little background to answer that question, but our subconscious mind has stored every single thing that's ever happened to us, right? Even when we were in our mother's womb. Mm-hmm. But our memories get stored there from the perspective of the age we are when the event takes place. So if we're 4 years old and our parents take our siblings somewhere, or our cousins, and they don't take us, we could decide right then and there that something's wrong with us. We're not good enough.
A good example of that was that client who was 4 years old and
yes.
Thought he was responsible for what happened to his brother.
Yes.
Because he's dealing with a 4-year-old mentality.
Yes. Yes. So what are we talking about now? Because there's so many different elements.
Oh, well, we were talking about the third step and regression.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything else about the essential third?
Yes. So about timeline therapy. No, I want to lead into the fourth one.
Okay, please, go ahead.
Okay. So we've done all this confidence building, ego strengthening, and emotional clearing. Mm-hmm. So it all leads up to forgiveness. Forgiveness of self and forgiveness of others. And that, to me, is the biggest game changer. When people can neutralize and heal and resolve, everything is about healing your history. And forgiveness, to me, is the ultimate healing. Mm-hmm. There's research now, when people have resentment, it can cause cancer and so many different problems in the body, in the mind-body connection.
If I'm not mistaken, resentment is one of the main characteristics or features of someone who's prone to developing cancer.
Yeah. So these 4 sessions I like to do with almost every client who comes in, if they're willing to do it. Some of the smokers don't necessarily want to do some of the deeper work, but it really is a great change agent and very healing.
Okay. And what is the secret behind your 90% success rate with anxiety, depression, insomnia, and chronic pain?
Well, the essential 4. It's fascinating. So I had this lady, she was about 20 years old. She had to quit college. She had fibromyalgia. She was depressed. She had gained a bunch of weight. She had been a gymnast. And now she was depressed and in too much pain, and she had to quit college. So she came to me, and during the first session, that confidence building, ego strengthening session, I just happened to ask her before we began, what is your pain level? On a scale of 0 through 10, 10 being extreme pain and 0 not at all, how would you describe yourself right now? And she said a 6. So then I did that first session, which doesn't really go into reducing chronic pain or anything. But nevertheless, when the session was over, her pain level was at a 0, and her fibromyalgia went into remission.
And did you do follow-up? How's she doing now?
So I know she was doing great for a couple years. I know she went back to school, and the fibromyalgia was gone for a while. She may have had some things come up. I don't know. I know I see her on Facebook now and again, but she did great for a few years, though. It was awesome.
Great. And what's the difference between working with a hypnotherapist versus a counselor, coach, or therapist?
Yeah, great question. And I can only answer it as a hypnotherapist. I look at hypnosis and hypnotherapy as a change agent, a results-driven thing, if you will. And when I go to a doctor or a wellness practitioner, I like results. I like to go and have something done, right? So I like to go to the acupuncturist or the chiropractor or the massage therapist or something where I'm getting some kind of treatment. So I think of hypnosis and going to a hypnotherapist as a type of treatment, even though it's called a session, because we're doing something. We're making change. That's where we were talking. We're making change in the neural pathways. We're building confidence, and we're creating new healthy habits. So we're doing all these different things that help people feel so much better and believe in themselves. Now, I do talk therapy a little bit, and I educate.
Well, if you're doing NLP, which is talk therapy.
And you don't have to be in hypnosis to do NLP, but hypnosis, when you use NLP with hypnosis while people are in hypnosis, and anything else you do while in hypnosis is so beneficial.
Yeah, and our audience may not know what NLP stands for. It's Neuro-Linguistics Program. Neuro is nervous system, linguistics is language and programming. So we program ourselves through we program our nervous system through our language.
So
what we're saying to ourselves,
yeah,
or what we picture in our minds.
Yes, and I teach people how to utilize that. So doing mental rehearsal, and there's so much research now about mental rehearsal. And when you mentally rehearse in a hypnotic state, when your brainwaves are in alpha and theta, it's much more effective than when you're just imagining.
Well, that classic study done by the University of Chicago, shooting free throws, where people that imagine shooting free throws,
yes,
they improved 22%. When the people who physically did it, they improved 23%.
Exactly.
So, and a good example is Olympic athletes or professional athletes who visualize their Olympic or professional sport, so we can get better without even physically doing something.
Yes, and I'm a peak performance coach, and I've worked with over 1,000 athletes in private sessions and in group trainings, and I really had to start paying attention to some of these NLP techniques when the swimmer shaved off 2 seconds at a 50-meter swim at the state meet after a phone session. Yeah. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Do you know about Milton Erickson?
Sure, of course.
Yeah. He's got some examples when he worked with Olympic athletes, yes, that are just fascinating.
Fascinating.
All right. Is there research that backs up the benefits of hypnosis?
There's thousands and thousands of studies. Dr. David Spiegel, he works out of Stanford, and he does all kinds of studies all the time. My favorite one is the blue ball study. Mm-hmm. And it basically, the essence of it is your mind can't tell the difference between what you were vividly imagining and what's actually real. Mm-hmm. So
that cuts both ways, because we're visualizing or imagining an argument, our body believes we're having an argument or having a fight, and responds and puts out chemicals or hormones that are toxic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love to do the muscle testing demonstration to show how you actually go weak when you think negatively about yourself, or if you're angry at somebody else, because you're releasing that chemical cascade of stress hormones.
Now, before the show, you mentioned you wanted to do a demonstration.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, tell our audience about the demonstration, and I'll step aside and let you do it.
Okay. So this will demonstrate mental rehearsal, and how if you just take a couple minutes to mentally rehearse in your mind something you want to be able to do, like what we were just talking about, you can do this with us. It's fun. It'll take about 2 to 3 minutes. The first part is with your eyes open, and then with your eyes closed. So, all right.
Well, we have, I don't know, about 3 or 4 minutes left, so if you can condense it a little bit, that would be appreciated.
Okay, this will be the fast version.
Okay, and then folks at home or people watching this, they can do the longer version, because you're going to teach us how to do this.
All right.
You're going to teach us how to fish.
Okay, good. All right, so basically what you want to do is stand somewhere where you can go like this and you won't touch anything. And then keep your feet on the ground and point forward in front of you with your arm. And if your right hand is out, you're going to twist to the right and see how far you go. If your left hand is out, you're going to twist to your left. So keep your feet on the ground and twist, and pay attention to how far you twist and exactly where you're pointing. So you turn, and then you come back. And now we're going to mentally rehearse this. Now, I'm a fire walker, and I practiced this for 5 hours and walked on a bed of coals. But right now, we're just going to do this in your mind. So this time, you're actually going to close your eyes. You're going to keep your hands down beside you, but you're going to imagine yourself doing it in your mind. So go ahead now and imagine pointing right in front of you. And you're going to twist the same way you just twisted. And actually start to feel the muscles twisting in your body. And notice that you go about a foot farther than you just did, and you kind of smile and you think it's funny. And then you bring your hand back down and you put it down beside you. We're going to do this one more time in your mind. I would suggest you do it 3 or 4 more times on your own, but right now, for time's sake, go ahead and imagine pointing in front of you, and imagine twisting, but this time imagine you're an owl and you have that ability to twist 360 degrees and feel that pulling, that twisting, see your muscles and you twisting, and you go even farther. Now you go 2 feet farther and you kind of smirk and laugh, and then you bring your hand back down to center. Now this time, do it with your eyes open. So open your eyes now, point in front of you for real, and twist and see how much farther you go. And that's it. That's mentally rehearsing, closing your eyes and doing it a couple of times.
So, for example, when I did my self-hypnosis today, I imagined the interview, and afterwards, you know, the team members saying, "Good job." So I practice
Yes.
in my mind. And when I teach a class, I really only have to spend like 10, 20 minutes in hypnosis, and I just review what I'm going to say in the class. And without any notes, I go 3 hours like nonstop.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm a big proponent of that. And now, so the mental preview, or sometimes we call it mental rehearsal, or the dry run, where we do a practice of it. Do you recommend that people lie down, sit down, etc.?
Well, I believe it's best if you're comfortable. When I hypnotize people, I give you, when you come to my office, you get an option. You can sit in a chair or you can lay down. So either way is, I know that a lot of people with meditating, they want you to sit up and they want you to be in specific positions. But I find whatever is most comfortable for you and you get into a routine is best, because then you have a neuroassociation.
Well, and if you're doing it in the office, you certainly don't want to lie down, but you can sit down. Now, I'm a big fan of like classical music, new age music, music designed to relax the brain. Do you like to play something in the background?
Always.
Okay.
And I always have some kind of music in the background. I think it's really important, and it's calming people, and then they know they're going to get that, and it also relaxes them because they come into my healing room. So I have a healing room. And so people know they're coming into the healing room, and it feels wonderful.
Okay, I just got a sign we've got less than 2 minutes. You want to talk about some of the, maybe sum up some of the modalities you talk about, or speak about some of the modalities, healing modalities you haven't talked about?
Wonderful. So hypnosis, as a hypnotherapist, I guide you into a focused and relaxed state where we can deliver suggestions and heal all kinds of even diseases. I can take you, so alchemical hypnotherapy, I can take you into your knee as if it's a room, and we can clean it up like I did with my stepson Brett over Skype. He was going to run a triathlon. He was going to be an Ironman, and now he can't even run. So we went down a set of stairs into the knee as if it's in a room, and there were empty beer cans everywhere. So that's a kind of concept. So we cleaned it up, and he ran. He did all 3 events without any pain. So
yeah, so that because the body can't distinguish between a real and imagined experience, because your stepson imagined it vividly enough, it was as if it was actually taking place.
And it worked.
Great. Well, I'm sorry, Randi, we're out of time.
But
you did a great job. You really did a good job from someone who's in the profession. That's a high compliment. For more information about Randi, Infinity Foundation, and her Quest talk show, stay tuned to the credits at the end, or find us on the internet. Until next time, wish you good health, good fortune, and good spirits. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure meeting you.
For more information about this show, our guest, Infinity Foundation, or any of our other programs, please visit our website, infinityfoundation.org, or call us at 847-831-8828.